Hello, wonderful followers. It seems ages since we've done one of these things. I'm sitting in the dark now. I'm sitting in the dark because Laurie's always in the dark and he always gets more likes than I get, so I've decided to go dark as well. Apart from my hair, which is sticking out like a flu brush. I should have been wearing my hat because it's all gone a bit skew-whiff. But no, everything's good. Busy, or not busy yet, but we're absolutely on the cusp of being busy. We've had a couple of patients in already, which we'll talk about later on. Laurie's being, as usual, annoying, but he did give me a whole pile of chips just now, so if I'm burping all the way through this live, it's going to be because I've eaten chips, which I haven't had for years, vinegar, chips and salt.
Yeah. How many years? Now, this to me was just beyond comprehension. How many years has it been since you've actually had chips?
Since I've had fish and chip monger type chips, it's probably been 10 years. I had sort of
That's
French...
not on.
I had the posh stuff like French fries and all that.
You can't call yourself British if you've not had chips in 10 years.
I can now because I've just had a whole load and I keep burping back the vinegar and the salt.
It's 10 years of indigestion.
Probably is. That's probably the problem. So I can't even see the screen. Laurie's put my screen in reverse, so I can't see any comments there. So I hope Laurie's keeping a bit of an eye on this.
I am. It's interesting. We've just had €200 from Sven, FXP1688. Good to see you, Sven. Thank you very, very much as always. That's hugely, hugely kind of you.
From whom?
Sven.
Who's Sven? I haven't heard from him for years.
Oh, yeah. That's because we've not been live in years.
Hello, old man. Welcome to YouTube. Thank you for your €200. Much appreciated everywhere, and everything at the moment is going towards the new centre, as you can imagine. All pressure is on for the new centre. So the sad thing is, we're ready to go. Absolutely ready. Everything's in place, but we've got to get a couple of certificates signed, but that's nothing. The big thing is the money, and you know, with the situation in the world economy at the moment, not only here but everywhere, people are being very cautious about giving money away. So anyway, we're still battling on. Laurie's battling along. We've got a thing with YFS, which we could go straight into now. I didn't mean to mention it yet, but never mind. So
I think before we go into YFS, it's probably worth giving a bit of an update just on where we are with the new centre at the moment, because certainly the YFS things will move more into that. So how is everything going with the new centre?
Fine, thank you. That stopped him in his tracks. Didn't know how to handle that at all. The new centre's really, I mean, a lot of the planting has been done. We've planted over 10,000 whips. We've planted over 100 fruit trees. We've planted over 40 black poplars. It's coming there. We're doing it bit by bit. We can't plant at the moment. Obviously the site looks so different now from how it does then, but when we get some nice weather and it all starts getting a bit lusher, you'll see all the reeds around the ponds. It's really looking fantastic. Douglas and his wonderful team of volunteers have been out there in all weathers, and when I say in all weathers, I mean it, from freezing cold to soaking wet to raining to horrible
I swear he's shrunk from how wet he's managed to get over the past couple of weeks.
He probably has.
Out there constantly.
They've done.
To be honest, there's a big thanks to a massive team of volunteers that have helped out as well. So Doug's been down there doing all of that, and we've had a whole load of volunteers, our volunteers from the local community, and also volunteers from other organisations, other charities, other businesses that have all mucked in, and I think we've planted coming up to 20,000 young trees in there, which is absolutely incredible.
They didn't. See, it just shows you don't listen to what I've just said. I've just given that whole sentence breaking down what we've planted and how many of everything, which means Laurie does not listen to a thing I say. So nothing in this place ever changes.
I do
so
occasionally.
It's just over 10,000 whips.
Just over 10,000.
It's 100 fruit trees. It's 40 black poplars. And we're still planting more. We've got more to go, but we're just trying to let the site settle a little bit. We want the weather to get a bit better, because obviously all the stuff we planted, we need to see what didn't make it last year. It was very dry last year, so we're thinking we might have lost 30% of the whips, which we'll obviously replant this year. We've still got a load of aquatic plants to plant, so the reeds have done incredibly well. In 1 year, they've really done very well. So the site is ready to rock and roll. I mean, we are ready to rock and roll. It's just the damn money, people. If I play any more on the lottery, I should be bankrupt. But you know, you've just got to play every chance you can. So wealthy people, patrons, I'm not going to name them because I get into so much trouble and probably be sued. But you know, anything you can give, anything you can start this fund off with. We did quite a successful start at the fund. We did what my daughter calls Simon's last wish, which I thought was a bit morbid. But that's raised £488,000, so it's a start. We've got to raise a lot more yet. Can we go to YFS now? Otherwise it's all going to run a tangent. So YFS is basically a scheme which has been given to all councils, I think. But Surrey have a certain amount of money that they have to give out to certain sort of projects. And it's a lot of work. Getting there, poor Laurie's mum must have been pulling her hair out. She has filled in more forms than I've ever used loo paper. She has worked so diligently at this, but the last stage of it is that we get a month. We have a page on Commonplace, which is where you can make comments whether you want this centre to be built or not. And we've had, in fact, we just today got over 5,000 comments. But I read back with those. I even get tears in my eyes because the comments are so amazingly wonderful from so many people, and everybody is so positive that you need a centre to help wildlife. So if you're going to help wildlife, you need somewhere where we've got habitat, and if you're going to do all that, you need to tell people, show people why they're doing it and what difference it makes. So the centre, when it comes, will be one big holistic whole. So there'll be the animals, the environment, and the education. And I think the education is vital now. If we don't educate our kids now, I think we're going to be too late if we don't do it for too long. But it's all coming together. We just need the money. We're trying really hard to get it. I did think about insuring Laurie's life, but I run a load of companies and they all refused to insure it. I don't know why.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It was really sad. But no, it's going well. If you've got any questions about this, we probably might not get them tonight on this, but we will look back over the chat tomorrow and answer any questions we get from you all. It's going to be, there's a lot to get through tonight probably anyway, but yeah, questions about the new centre, questions about anything. If you know anybody wealthy, if you know any wealthy corporates who want to sponsor a project in England, it would be fantastic. But we will keep trying. We will keep trying until hell freezes over, I reckon.
So as part of YFS, so YFS stands for Your Fund Surrey, we have placed a bid for £2.1 million. Now that's an absolutely incredibly huge figure, but that is so important to securing our future and the future of the Wildlife Aid Centre, which is basically the next evolution of what Wildlife Aid is today. To get that, we are in the running for it. We're very, very close, but to get it, we can only do it with your comments. So I've left a link to the comments page on YouTube and on Facebook. If you can go over there and leave a comment, you will be making such an incredible difference on there. 2.1 million would be life-changing in what we are able to do at the new centre, and it's only possible if we get the support of people saying that they feel that it's going to be beneficial to the community. So if you could go on that link and leave a comment, we would absolutely love you. You will be securing our future, and you will be keeping Simon's dream alive long into the future, so please do so. Thank you.
I mean, to be honest, just make it dead clear, we're not financially in trouble, don't get me wrong. As a small charity, we are incredibly well financed. For those who know me, they know that I'm a tight so-and-so. So I really very cautious about spending any money. Happy to receive money, very cautious spending it. But it has secured, I mean, we've got a lot of reserves in the bank, mainly for this new centre, because this new centre is going to cost us a lot more money than it does here. But it's all safe, guys, it's all safe. All we want to do is secure Surrey's wildlife. And I think Surrey County Council are particularly keen on the community aspect. So it's all about community, as is Wildlife Aid. It is all about community. It is IDOT. If we all do one thing, Doug, who works so hard on IDOT, it's what the centre's all about. If we all do one thing, it makes a huge difference. If only one person does one thing, it doesn't do much good. But we're pushing that as well, and the whole basis and the whole ethos behind the new Wildlife Aid Centre will be IDOT. Everything's based on IDOT, so help us. Oh my, so much money coming in. I'm going to pass out in a minute, Laurie. I just see little lines of money coming in.
You guys are absolutely incredible. So since obviously the first one that Sven very, very kindly donated, we've had £5 from Nicola with "Hi Simon, every little helps." It does indeed. Every single pound goes towards our work, and every single pound is vital, so thank you so much. Peter has donated £10 on there as well, thank you very much, Peter. Iris has donated £20, thank you very, very much there as well. Alex has donated $100 US, which is monstrous. thank you very, very much, Alex. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you do as well. We can only do it thanks to your support.
Yeah, and it's like the work here, to be honest. You know, it's all very well starting this centre 40 years ago as a little hobby, and it was all great, but it got bigger. And if we didn't have, we've got 400 volunteers at the moment, roughly, and without those, Wildlife Aid would be nowhere. I mean, it is a community spirit, it's a passion, and everything, you can see why it's all holistic, because everything fits together in a perfect shape. It's going to be a system we can take forward and try to teach people and cure animals and give lectures and do all sorts of things. So we want this up and running as soon as we can. It's just a matter of getting the money to finish it, basically. We'll get there, trust me. I'm a stubborn old you-know-what.
And it's the thing is, and the reason why this is, you know, so important moving forwards is we can do what we do. We've done that for 40 years. Other centres do very, very similar. The problem is the issues that these animals face are still there. They're still going on. So the key to the whole thing and for moving forward is education. Ideally, we want to put ourselves out of a job. 98-99% of the things that we deal with are directly or indirectly caused by mankind, and the vast majority of those are completely fixable if the education was out there, if people knew how to raise nets, or knew not to use particular types of fencing, or knew not to leave milk out for hedgehogs, and all of these things that we in this industry take for granted. It would make such a huge difference. And as Simon said, we deal with 20,000 cases every year. Imagine if we could take 99% of those and never have to look at them, because the animal would never be in that situation. And then extrapolate that out from Surrey to the world. It's huge.
I get too bored. I can't not have anything to do. I started this place because I love doing the rescues, as does Lawrie. And if I didn't have rescues to do, I think I'd go absolutely balmy. I love the rescues. I love the challenge of going to an animal that you know is probably going to die and making it not die. To me, that's it. And then you get the release on top of that, which is a double whammy, which is when I always cry because I'm pathetic. But life goes on. It's great work, but you've got to have the passion for it. We've got 2 full-time vets now. We've got Miriam and Marco, who, poor Marco, is going to get a bit of a shock soon. Marco's going to get a shock. He came in, he said, it's quite busy today, and I thought, yeah, you wait till a couple of months' time, Marco. You're going to have to be sustained on a Bacardi drip for at least 3 months to keep you going. It does get busy. Both vets work very hard, 7 days a week, and you know, we get call-outs and things at night as well. So, to all the vets, to all the volunteers, to all the staff, without you, it wouldn't work. And it's easy to say it. Everybody says, "Oh, you don't really care." Of course, I care, because without them, it wouldn't work. It's as simple as that. They have made the centre what it is today. I started it like an idiot I was, but it's got where I'm proud of where it's got to. But it's now become really a bit of an onus responsibility to me to make sure I get as far as I can before I pop my clogs, which could be in months, it could be in years. I have no intention of going anywhere for ages, just because I want to keep annoying Lawrie for at least another 3 or 4 years. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, nobody knows when that's going to come. It's an interesting topic. I don't mind talking about it. If anybody's got any questions, we'll probably answer them probably off this on an email, so if anybody's worried about stuff. My philosophy is, you're dealt a set of cards, you have to play those cards, and there's nothing you can change. We all know we're going to go at some time. I mean, some of my really best friends who are younger than me have died over the last couple of years, so you just never know when it's coming. So I intend to listen to it when I have to. For the time being, I shall fight like crazy, be awkward, bad-tempered. I'm on these pills at the moment, and they make me so bad-tempered. Poor Lawrie has to tread on eggshells every single day. Cause I've now stopped taking the pills because they made me so grumpy. Even I was getting grumpy with me. So there we are. That's how it all goes. We all deal with it in different ways. I think staying positive and having belief and passion is a long way to help you keep going. I reckon, apart from when you look at Laurie's haircut, and that's still shatteringly bad.
Thank you. So we have had a number of questions come through already, so thank you very, very much. We'll just try and work through as many of those. If you do have any questions, both on Facebook and on YouTube, please leave them in the comments. I'm monitoring both. We'll try to get through as many as possible. There are quite a few coming in. So if you do have anything specific, please leave it in there. And if I don't get to it, just post it again and hopefully I will see it. So there's a few comments coming in about the YFS and saying, can comments be from outside the UK and can comments be from outside Surrey? Yes to both of those. So the important thing with the YFS is why we need to convince them why this project is worth spending such a large amount of money on, and that can come from anyone. So if you're in the local community, if you live around us in Leatherhead, if you could comment in there about why you think it will be beneficial to Leatherhead and the community in there, that would be incredible. If you are from outside Surrey or outside the UK, anything about why you think this world's first amalgamation of projects that we've put together is important and why you think it needs the funding. So it's anything on there is hugely critical, so every single person is open on that one.
And what a huge thing it is for Surrey. Surrey do pick this up and run with it. It'll be a flagship scheme, nobody else has done it, and if we can get what we do to all the other counties in England as well, then it's just a bigger IDOT. It's IDOT multiplied by more, and that's what it's all about. So you guys, don't ever think we underestimate your support, or don't thank you, because we do. And again, our volunteers are everything. The staff, I mean, Alice is just balmy, but that's how she works. She's manic all the time. Everybody's busy. There's nobody here who doesn't pull their weight, basically, apart from him. But no, sadly he does as well. He does as well. We all do. Guys, we do it because we love it. End of story.
There are a whole load of absolutely lovely comments coming in, so thank you all very, very much. We are reading through them.
I hope they're about me and not you, Lawrie. You know I get very upset.
Most of them are, don't worry. So
somebody says, what is this big project?
Lawrie,
somebody said, what is this big project? How can they miss what we're talking about? It's the new Wildlife Aid Centre. Go onto our website, have a look what we're trying to do. We're moving literally half a mile up the road to a site that's 4 times bigger than we are now, where we can spend as much time on education as we can on curing the animals. It all needs to work together, so it should be absolutely amazing. So if anybody's in doubt as to what this big project is, go to our website. You will see it there, guys. It's all there.
Yeah, it really is the future of what we're planning on doing. It's continuing what we do as Wildlife Aid, and also increasing what we're able to do, moving into the education side, not just to school groups and young people, but to adults and vets, and to get this love of wildlife spread throughout the community. We'll have a visitor centre on there as well. People can come and visit, they can learn about wildlife. We have the wetlands that you can see, the flyover. So this was taken quite a few months ago, back when that was still being built. That's now all completed, it's all being planted, it's all beautiful, and we've started to attract a whole load of animals to that as well. So it's this amalgamation of what is possible and what we want to give back in the future. And to be honest, it's Simon's dream realised on that one. It's taking what he wanted Wildlife Aid to be and making it a reality. So if you did want any more information on that, please do head to our website, which is wildlifeaid.org.uk, and click on the link right on the top that says the Wildlife Aid Centre. That will tell you a lot more about what we're planning on doing, how far we are in the fundraising side, and why your support is vital now more than ever before. We will get to that a bit more later, but
there's somebody you need to block somebody on here, Lawrie. Somebody just said that Lawrie deserves a raise. The only raise he's going to get is my foot up his you know what.
The only raise I'll get is the fact I need a new chair.
We all deserve. I told you to buy that ages ago. But I mean, we all deserve a raise. I mean, charities. It's the most difficult thing I find after spending 23 years in the corporate world is that you sell a widget, or you sell a service, or you sell a product. So at the end of the year, you tot it all up. You've made a nice profit, so you all get a bonus. Everybody's happy. The more patients we get in as a charity, the more it costs us to run, when none of the patients pay for the services anyway. So if you can work out the logic of that is just pure insanity. It can't work. We're 40 years on. It does work thanks to people who leave us legacies. And legacies, I know we harp on, well, we don't harp on as much as many charities, but legacies are everything. To any charity, legacies are the make or break. And it's how you go from a small charity to a medium charity, and then a medium charity to a big charity. Legacies are really vital. So if anybody's thinking of dying, please fill in a legacy form first, just in case. And we go from there. But yeah, everything works. Sadly, this world now is all about money, but sadly this world is all about greed, short-sightedness, selfishness, which we've got to get out of. We've got to change our whole mindset and be a more giving species, because we're not giving. We're the only invasive species in my mind now by a long way. We don't deserve to be here, but why we are, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, Lawrie. I'm off my soapbox. Consider me standing down.
We like you on your soapbox. So we've had a comment on Facebook from Wendy McKay. So hello, Wendy. Who's put, I did a fundraiser for my recent birthday, happy belated birthday, and raised £1,000, much more than expected. It closed at the weekend, so hopefully you get it soon after that. Thank you so much. That's an incredible amount of money. Happy birthday from both of us, and in fact everyone here at Wildlife Aid. Thank you so much for your kind support and your generosity. And if you did want to leave a link to your fundraiser on the Facebook as well, I'm sure we'd try and get as many people as possible to head over there and support you as well. So thank you very much. It really does make a huge difference.
You're such a smoothie, Lawrie. You're such a smoothie.
And I knew there was going to be some sort of comment. I knew that there was going to be some comment.
It's because he's got that haircut. It's that haircut that does it to him.
I've recently had a haircut.
That's exactly like I know. So yeah, I'm going for a haircut. He said he came back, looked exactly the same.
We are professionals, honest. So just trying to flick through comments on here. Pushbike Cam has asked, do your daughters still get involved in Wildlife Aid?
My elder daughter, Louisa, is the deputy CEO, so when I'm not here she will take over. My other daughter is into fitness and all sorts of peculiar things, which I've never quite understood because I've never been fit, so I find that in an alien world. But so any one of them does. But Gemma, if Gemma sees any animal anywhere, any place, she will go and rescue it. Doesn't know what time, and doesn't matter what time of day or night, Gemma arrives at the door with a pigeon in a box or a squirrel in a box, or somebody's rung her about something. So we all care, we do care. We're quite an environmental friendly family. I mean, I wasn't when I was younger, not being nasty about it, but I never really thought it was important. It was just there, the environment was there and everything was fine. It's not till we get to now where we realise that actually it hasn't been fine for over 200 years, and I'm back on my soapbox again, so I'm going to get off.
We'll keep you on your soapbox. So Horse Tuner, which is a fantastic username, on YouTube has asked, how is the fundraising coming for the new centre?
The initial push was great, 488,000 on Simon's last wish. We are still putting out everywhere we can think of. We're still asking everybody we can think of. We're trying every route we can. But as I say, the economic situation in the world is absolutely screwed. And sadly, we're just part of that world, so it's going to be quite hard. If we're dead lucky, we might get some wealthy person sort of starting the ball rolling, which would be amazing. I just love to see it built before I go. Perhaps I might do, perhaps I might not, but I'd like to see it started at least. That would be my base aim, to see it started, even if I have to dig the first hole, which will probably kill me anyway. But never mind, I'm good, guys, I'm fine. As you can tell, I'm in total denial of what I've got. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it at all. So stay positive. Don't sit in a chair and cry and mope, because it's useless, and besides which the dogs then sit on my lap and dribble all over me. So I'd keep working. Simple as that. I'll deny it for as long as I can.
And going back, I know I'm harping on about this as well, but going back on that one, 488,000 is an absolutely incredibly huge amount of money, but we're also in the running for this 2.1 million as well. So that together pays for a good chunk of the new centre and will allow us to start the work and get the ball rolling, which is so important at the moment. So if you did want to help us get that, we need your comment. It just takes 2 minutes. Just please, I've left all of the links on both sides. Just scroll back up until you can find it. I'll keep posting those. If you could leave a comment on there. Ideally, we want to get to about 10,000 comments on there to really show just what support is out there for this sort of scheme. We're at 5,000 at the moment, which is huge already, but if we can push as much as possible, it would make such a difference. So if you do want to help us out, please, I'll keep posting the link, and I too will also get off my soapbox on that one.
Yeah, I do suggest, to be honest, I would honestly, it humbled me if you got time to sit and read some of those comments.
Oh, it's incredible.
They are just, I don't have words for it. They're just so wonderful and so supportive that you couldn't ask for more. You could not ask for more apart from money.
Yeah, it's incredible to see what the work of this centre and the work of Simon and all of that has meant to you guys over the years, and those of you who've brought us animals, those of you who've supported us, those of you who've watched us on YouTube, on social media, on Wildlife SOS, anything, the amount of people whose lives have been touched by what Simon started 40 years ago and what we hope to continue long into the future is, there's no words to describe it at all. It is just incredible. You can't read through those comments without realizing what's going on and how big this is. So please, if you do want to help us, it would mean the absolute world. There are no words that can possibly say how much it would mean.
Somebody's just asked what was my favourite rescue, and I've actually just thought of it.
Yeah.
We once had a bit of a problem. My girlfriend was walking the dogs down at 20 acres. And it was a bit boggy and a bit messy. So
I know what this is going to be.
So she got stuck. She got her car stuck.
I don't like
So I thought, well, Lawrie, I sent him down in the Land Rover. It'll pull anything out of anywhere. So down went Lawrie. 15 minutes or so passed, and I got a little Lawrie call. Simon, I'm stuck too.
I did bog down.
So then I had to go down in my poor road car, my Volvo, and I had to pull them both out of the mess.
You stuck to the path.
Well, I'm not stupid.
Massive,
yeah, but I'm not stupid. One sticks to the dry bit. One doesn't go into the slushy bit to pull a car out. But so that was probably one of my favourite rescues. But yeah, it's
it was about a month after I'd bogged down the Volvo in a field as well.
Yes, that's the second time he mucked it up. Second time. What a nana.
That was
Never
a while
mind.
ago. I've learned ish.
There we are. Somebody just asked, Lawrie, how did your first solo attempt at a swan grab go?
Oh,
I can't remember that. That was a long time ago for you two.
So the first one that I think happened was we were doing a swan in like a sewage works, but it was in one of the clean tanks, luckily. And it was you and a couple of others there, and you caught it with a swan hook. You put it back towards the edge. I was filming at the time, so I had the camera, and I remember you saying, just Lawrie, grab it, and having to run over and grab the swan, take it out. And I think that was the first one that I did. Solo one, I honestly can't remember what the first one was, but that was a lot more recently, I think. But I think the first one was you just telling me to grab it.
There you are. And there'll be more. And there will be more.
There will, yeah. Ian has asked, the question I want to know is how many more wildlife centres are there around the UK?
Lawrie, I have no idea.
A rough guess?
I have no idea. Lawrie will know much more accurately than me. There's probably, if you cast everybody, there's probably thousands. You know,
I wouldn't say thousands. There's not that many.
Just let me finish what I was saying. There's going to be little old women with their hedgehog in a drawer type of things, but proper centres, I would probably say there's 100 or so, maybe a few more. And big centres, I would say you're probably limiting it to about less than a dozen of the really big centres, of which we hopefully one of them, otherwise I should be really angry.
It's the thing that people sort of forget about this is wildlife rescue and rehab in the UK is a relatively fledgling industry, really. It was pretty much started by a combination of you and Les Stocker and a couple
Les
of other
Stocker was
people.
before us. Les Stocker started it.
Yes, yeah, but that was really what got the ball rolling and got the industry as a whole started, and everything seems to have blossomed since then. So we're very lucky that there's now a whole load of centres like us right the way around the UK. Some absolutely incredible guys. A couple of them are actually in the comments at the moment. And it's an industry I would love to see grow, but it's difficult to forget that actually maybe 50 years ago it just didn't exist at all. It's something that has only just come up, and he is one of the people to thank for that. So I think
I'm so old, I'm so old, I'm so knackered. No, it's fun. I've loved it. There's bits I hate, like everything in life. There's bits you hate, but I think to do a job that I love so much, I don't think many people get to do that. I think probably less than 1% of people in the world do a job they really enjoy, and I can honestly say I enjoy it as much as anyone can enjoy any job, and it's pretty damn special to me, and obviously pretty special to everybody who helps us do it, because without them we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, very much so. So there's a whole load of questions coming in. I'm trying to get Elise on Facebook has asked, at the new centre, how will the resident wildlife be protected on getting onto the motorway? It's an interesting one.
We'll just shoot it. If it goes too near the motorway, we'll shoot it. No, it's fenced. A, it's fenced. B, there's going to be a very thick line of trees, because actually we've got a very small herd of roe deer who actually live on the, and there must be about a 50-foot boundary between the motorway and our site, and they live in that little woodland. They're quite happy in there, and they obviously don't the only reason any animal runs onto a road is if it's chased by something, if it gets really scared, which it won't at our site at all. So, you know, here's our site on the next to the busiest road in the UK, and wildlife is quite happy there. Even when we were digging it with all those dirty great diggers digging the ponds out, the deer were still standing at the bottom of the field, which wasn't that far away, watching us do it. So we can coexist. It's just man tends to be stupid, I'm afraid. Stupid.
So let's quietly take a break from questions on there just to go over what's been happening here at the centre over the past couple of months. So our last live stream was actually way back in December, so there's been quite a lot that has gone on since then. So in terms of patients, would you like to start us off, Simon, or would you like me to?
No, I'm going to let you start us off.
Well, so as you know, we're now starting what we call our Orphan season, which is the busiest time of the year, not just for us but for other wildlife centres throughout the UK. It's the time when all the baby animals will start to arrive, and it's the time when our patient numbers go through the roof. We'll be talking sort of 80 new patients a day just dealing with that.
Don't say that in front of. Don't say that. Marco might hear you say that. He'll have a heart attack.
So it is going to get very, very busy, and of course, with Orphan season comes the first Orphan, and our first Orphan this year was this guy. Now this is a rabbit kit, so I believe it's a European rabbit, so they aren't wild, completely native in the UK. This one unfortunately was, I think, found by a dog, if I remember right, and unfortunately could be not be returned back to its family, so it's currently being raised by one of our rabbit carers. So we have a couple of orphan feeders that help out the most vulnerable animals that we get in, and already opened his eyes, I think, and is doing really, really well. So that was our first one, and followed reasonably soon by something that we didn't quite expect this early in the year, and that is this little guy. Now this is a fox cub. Now fox cubs will get probably 70, 80, 100 quite easily throughout the season, but this guy arrived really, really early, and he was quite well on for his age. There are some others that have been appeared at other centres recently that are much older than he is, so I don't know what's going on there. But he, unfortunately, he was found abandoned by his sex. Clearly mum had been disturbed or something like that. We did try and return him back to his family. We couldn't do that. Unfortunately, after a certain amount of time, it's just not worth keeping trying. They get cold, they get wet, they get hungry. So we had to make the decision to take him back into care. So he's now been with us for a little while, I think something like a week and a bit. Doing really, really well. So he is with Alana, who's our hospital manager and one of our sort of fox orphan feeders. She's doing really, really well with him. Recovering, sort of feeding on the bottle perfectly fine. Really, really cute. And recently has opened his eyes, which is really cute and fantastic, but the problem is that now brings us into a problem. When you have an orphan animal that has their eyes and their ears open, you really have to be careful to avoid any risk of imprinting at that point. If they can see and hear you, you don't want them to think that they're human, think that you're mum. So human contact, as soon as that happens, has to be cut immediately. So the only time that cub is ever anywhere near humans is for feeds and for cleans, and that is it. There's no talking, there's nothing else. And the important thing about raising any young animal, and especially foxes, is it's vital to raise them with their own kind. So they learn how to be a fox through something called intraspecific interactions, which is interactions within their own species. So one will learn how to pounce, one will learn how to dig, one will learn how to do all this, and they'll teach each other. And it's hugely important that they get that reaction from a very, very young age. So at the moment, we need a second one, or ideally more than that. And it sounds very weird, it sounds a bit backwards for any wildlife rescue to want an orphaned animal, but at this point we really, really do need a friend for our fox cub. So we are actually currently on the lookout for any other centre around us that has a fox cub of similar age. We need to make sure that they're put together just for the benefit of both cubs. So if you are a centre watching this and you do have a cub, or you know of a cub that's around there, please do get in contact and we'll try and work something out, because we need to do the best we possibly can for that little cub.
I mean, either our cub can go to there, we're not insisting it comes here, or it can come here. We can do either way, because there's plenty of months coming up when we do mix and match and swapsies, because people get too many males, too many females, so all the centres talk together and we say, well, I've got 3 of those and only 1 of those, so we swap them around. So it's good for the gene pool for a start, but it also means that you get a pretty good balance in sex by the time they go out to the wild again.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody can help. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes open. That'd be great.
After all, we're all in this together. Every single centre, no matter where we are around the UK, we're all after the same thing, which is to take an animal that is injured, orphaned, sick, anything like that, make it better and return it back to the wild. Everyone's in the same goal. So if the way we can do that is we work together, that's what we do. There'll be back and forth with badger cubs, fox cubs, a whole load of things, just to make sure that everyone has the best population that they can return back to the wild. So hopefully you'll see more of that going forwards. We're also getting a lot of these guys. So there's 2 different species in here. They look remarkably similar. If you've not particularly come across these amphibians before. So the one on the left hand side of the screen, just under the logo, that is a common common frog, sorry. See, I've done it now.
Careful, Lawrie.
A common frog, and the one on the right is a common toad. Now, the main difference between those, there's a couple of other differences in coloration. You see the warts on the second one on the right as well, though that can be a little more difficult to see. And you'll see the difference in the eye colour. Frogs have that much more golden tone, whereas the toads on there will have much more of a red normally on there. There are a few other things on there, but we have had quite a few of those recently, and unfortunately they've all come in for the same reason, which is they've been attacked by a cat. So they're currently in breeding mode, so they're out and about, and they do get caught by cats and brought in. If you do have any animal really, let alone amphibians, that are caught by a cat, especially at this time of year, it's vital that they get seen by a wildlife rescue or at least a vet. So cats, in their saliva, they have a particular strain of bacteria which can cause really bad bacterial infections if they're not put on a course of antibiotics. So if you get an animal that is wounded, it literally only needs to be a tiny pinprick of a wound. They do need to be seen and checked and treated on there. So if you do have a cat that is notorious for bringing small furry things in at this time of year, please make sure you give them the best possible chance. Take them to a vet, take them to a wildlife rehabilitator, and they can give them the best chance of getting them back out to the world.
Absolutely right.
The other thing we've seen an awful lot of, which is more unusual for this time of year, is adult foxes. So usually around the breeding season you see a bit of a dip in the admit numbers for foxes, just because they've all got other things on their mind and they tend not to be getting themselves into scrapes. But we've seen a lot, and unfortunately almost all of those are RTA cases, so road traffic accidents, so hit by a car. And we've seen a lot of them recently, and it's required some quite specialist surgeries. So the first one that we had was this little girl. Now she was hit by a car and left by the side of the road. Unfortunately the driver didn't stop on there, but a person who happened to be walking past stopped, called us, and we were able to go out. They managed to corral her into a corner and managed to pin a very, very feisty fox in the corner until we arrived. I still to this day have no idea how they managed to do that so well, but if you are watching this, please join our rescue team because you did a fantastic job on that. We got her back to the centre, and this was probably 11, 12 o'clock at night, and she was not in a good way at all. So she'd been hit in the face, she was choking on blood. I won't get too graphic on there, but it really, really wasn't good. So we called Marco, so our vets work out of hours shifts depending on who's been on that day. Marco immediately came into the centre, started doing full x-rays, cleared everything out, and found out that she had a broken jaw in 3 places. Now, a broken jaw is not good when you're a fox, unfortunately. They need to go back at 100%, and catching prey, eating prey, it's vital you have a complete jaw structure to do that. Amazingly though, we have managed to put that back together. So Marco and Marin working together, they first started off with what's called a circlage wire, which is effectively just a regular bit of wire, but it's made out of surgical materials, and it's sterile, so it's a lot better for going into wound. That was passed up through the mouth, right the way around the jaw fragments and back down, and then tied off at the bottom. That held everything in place for long enough for a callus to start forming, which is the first stage of a bone healing. Once that was removed, because obviously that's quite invasive, they then corrected that with a little dental acrylic that went across the bottom teeth. Now this is an acrylic that's usually used in human dentistry on there, but it has moved over to the veterinary world as well, and after speaking with a couple of dental specialists, who we will get onto again in a minute, we put this right across the front teeth to hold everything back, and we've actually had an update on her this morning, and that is now healed, and she's doing really, really well. So huge thank you to the vet team on that one, because that is remarkable work getting that back. I honestly thought she would not make it, but you've managed to get it back. The other one is also...
I think Laurie's on Duracell. The Duracell is just not running out tonight. I've fallen asleep 3 times.
It's mostly because you told me to go for it, and I'm fairly sure
when I say go for it, I mean for a couple of minutes, not for 6 hours. It's on and on and on. They don't care, Laurie. They can go into such detail. Laurie.
Do you care about detail, or do you want me to shut up? Please leave it in the comments, and we'll sort this once and for all on there.
But I shall win because I pay the salary, so
yeah,
you can't win. Can't win.
That is true.
No, go on, keep going for a bit.
There you go, Abby in the chat. Laurie, I miss your long
sorry.
explanations. I guarantee that's sarcasm, but thank you very much, Abby, and we miss you. I hope everything was going well in with the dogs out there in Bulgaria on there. For those of you who don't know, Abby has unfortunately left Wildlife Aid. She's given us up to work with rescue dogs on that one. I think she's just got back, so I really hope everything is okay on that one. The second fox that we've had is another one that arrived with jaw issues. This one unfortunately had a whole load of teeth that were damaged and knocked out. They'd split off, but the roots were still left in. Unfortunately, you leave the roots in too much and you can get infections and a whole load of other things. And we put out a call for help, and the people who responded are some of the best dental surgeons in the UK. So these 3 guys, who we've got Charlie, Valentina and Jono on there, are veterinary dental residents at the moment, which is an incredibly competitive field. They are some of the best dental vets in the UK, going into their specialisms. I believe there's only 6 of them in the UK, so it's a huge field. They came in, and between them they've managed to fix everything up as well. So that fox is now doing really, really well. It's on soft foods until we can get the jaw back up, but that fox now has a second chance thanks to their help, and they didn't charge us for it at all, which is incredible. So thank you very much to those guys as well. I feel you want to say something.
They didn't charge us because they were so bored. They just wanted to get out of here because Laurie kept talking. They just got the opposite. We're going. No charge.
Like the details, very educational.
I've seen some of these details, and I've got some stuff to talk about later on about some of this. But anyway, no worries. No, everything's fine here. Everything's coming up roses, isn't it, Laurie? I think I've lost the plot. Do you think I've lost the plot? I might have done.
Okay, so from patients, we'll move on to rescues, and this is where Simon's going to take over. So he.
No, it's not. I didn't. He doesn't let me do any rescues now. He puts me in a bloody silver line cushion box in case I hurt myself. Great tosspot.
That's not true. Would you like to see the rescue that you did? What about this one?
Oh, that's quite an interesting one. Yes, we've had foxes in wheels and all things like that, but this fox came in, and I knew exactly why it was because I'm very, very clever. And we did get him out. We did a bit of tweaking and pulling. We wanted to do all sorts of things, but just by gently manipulating head, we got him out. And at the bottom of the jar were 2 dead mice. So he was obviously gone in there to get the mice, got stuck. He hadn't managed to eat them all, sadly, because he couldn't get his head to the bottom, but he was well stuck. And I think a lot of people would have sort of probably tried to break the bottle or do, things which are a bit drastic. You don't need to be drastic. Most of rescues do not need to be drastic. They need a bit of thought, a bit of patience, a bit of care, and a bit of understanding, basically. It's understanding a rescue. It's understanding what you can do and how you can do it. There's a whole book there one day. But he was there. He was very pleased to be out of his little bottle. In fact, I think we're still. I think we were going to auction the bottle, weren't we, or something? I can't remember what happened to it. I know. We
still got it. We did mean to take it back, but we forgot. So no. Sorry to the people whose bottle it.
We'll auction it at open day. if they want the bottle back, they'll have to pay for it. But the animals do get stuck in odd places. People sort of cut wire, they cut railings, they cut all sorts of things. Guys, it just isn't necessary. It puts the animal through so much stress for a start, and often just a little bit of patience. You can do a rescue in sometimes seconds if you're lucky. I mean, that fox probably took us a minute or 2. So it didn't have to be knocked out, we didn't have to break the bottle, and it was free very quickly. But yeah, rescues is a whole special thing. Laurie's going to start teaching rescuing. I'm going to come to his first lecture on that because I'm going to wet myself. Laurie's going to train and teach rescuers. Laurie's going to train and teach rescuers. So whereas most courses are about an hour long, each of Laurie's 16 courses will be about a day long, and he'll be going on and on and on. But he's an experienced rescuer. The trouble is, I find with rescues, it's gut instinct and feeling, which is why Lawrie and I got together so quick, in the way that I just knew he knew what he was doing. He understood it, and you learn that really. You've just got to understand what's going on. You've got to think like the animal and think how you want to get out of there painlessly as possible. But no, Lawrie is going to start training and he's going to start teaching, and I'm going to have a longer sleep. Even better.
Because I still remember the first rescue that I did myself, and I remember distinctly your training on that. We got out the car, you got the grasper out, I had the camera out. This is when I was just doing the filming side of things. You reached over, you picked the camera up, you put it on your shoulder, you gave me the grasper, and you went, "Go on, you're doing this one." And that was it.
Simple.
That was the training on there.
That's how you start.
Very, very luckily, once we were there, Simon did talk me through the whole thing. So there's a whole load of how you approach a fox so that you don't scare it. How you use a grasper to make sure you don't cause injury. There's a whole load of things on there. Simon very, very kindly talked me through that, and it was successful on that. And I'm hugely grateful. I've said this to many before.
He did it himself, guys. He did it himself. He's got what it takes. He's got what it takes. You learn and you build on it, because you don't get every rescue dead right. We don't get very many dead wrong either. But we work. When we're on rescues now, we often don't even need to talk to each other, because we each know what the other one's going to do all the time, which is really helpful, especially when it's a scared animal. So yeah, I'm not going to praise you anymore, Lawrie. Tonight you had quite enough praise from me. Get on with it.
Okay, well, let's go on to more other rescues. So speaking of animals in weird places, we managed to close the UK's busiest motorway. Now, do you remember this one?
Yeah, the total waste of bloody time. We went all the way out there, we got stuck in traffic, it was a bloody nightmare, and when we got there they'd already captured the bloody thing. So I was well angry by then, but never mind. Swan was safe, that's what it's all about. But they had done all the work. Highway guys are very good. They got the Swan contained. We just went and picked it up. So it's a bit of a simple one really, Lawrie, wasn't it?
But why do they end up on the M25? Because there's quite an interesting reason for that.
Many reasons. The main one is they come in too late at night and they see a black road surface and think it's water, so they land down on there thinking that it's water and it's not. That's probably the most common. Sometimes they could have been scared across the road, but unlikely. Wrong place, wrong time, guys. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's unfortunately we see it a lot when they're kicked out. So swans need a bit of a run up to actually take off. So once they come down, they can't actually get the speed to then take off again. So they do end up coming down in some very weird places. The M25 is not 100% common for us, but we do see our fair share, as do many other rescues around the M25. So the next one, your favourite type of rescue, and the one you actually asked for more of recently, which
I know, I just love them. It's weird because it's a sparrowhawk or a kestrel in a warehouse. They do that type of thing. They go right up the top. They will never come down. Once they're up there, they won't come out of the door. They'll stay high. And Lawrie and I think we're the first people to perfect it, to be honest. We double catch them. We get them low enough so we can get our long nets up there. You can't go too long because the nets get too flimsy. And we put one net over it, slide one net behind it, so it can't get out the other way. Then we bring the nets down in absolute synchronistic explicity. That's a very weird thing to say. But no, we bring the nets down together so it can't escape. They do escape from that sometimes. We haven't always done it first time, but we get it most of the time first time. You bring it down and you can let it go. It's quite simple. But a lot of people go running around like idiots trying to chase these things around and around and around. We just get it into a low place, put the one net up, capture it, don't worry about moving that net, leave it there until you've got the other net in place to slide behind it so you can bring them down as a sort of a clamp together all the way down. We're good at that.
It's very, very difficult. The big thing is getting the net over it is usually okay. The problem is those nets are really, really flexible right on the end, and if you move, it can take a second or more for that movement to travel right the way up the net and work on the end. So when you've got two that are clamped together and you have to bring them down in perfect synchronicity, it's very difficult to mess that up. And unfortunately it does happen. You'll get caught on something, you'll slip, and as soon as that bird sees that opening, it's gone. So it's so important when you do it just to be slow and to know how the other person moves. Because you can work out how to bring that down. As soon as it's down low enough, we'll end up with a third person that just grabs those and holds them together. Doesn't go for the bird, just holds the nets together to make sure it can't go out. But it is something that very, very luckily you worked on and perfected over the years, and I've now stepped into. So, but it is a technique I've not really seen in many other places, but you are very good at it.
We're just that good, Lawrie. We're just that good. And I'm that old.
So, what is the story of this fox, if you can remember that?
That's the one in the bath. No, it's either the bath or the attic. That was a pigeon. Bath fox. So yeah, Lawrie and I went out to rescue. It's a fox, quite mangy, quite grotty. He'd gone into a bathroom. I won't describe the state of the bathroom, but I couldn't have lived there. Let's leave it at that. But sadly, when he got under where the bath was, there was also a gap in the floorboards, and he could manage to get to the end of that. So I looked at the size of the hole, I looked at the size of my body and said, Lawrie, that's yours. Lawrie contorted himself like he often can into the most ridiculous shape. I don't think he could move for about 3 days afterwards. And it wasn't a difficult rescue, to be honest. It was just the way Lawrie had to get it in at such an angle,
really.
And he had to get the grasp around its neck, which wasn't very stable because he's right at the end of a long run. But needless to say, Lawrie got his fox.
Very stubborn, I think, on that one, but that was one of those that took a little bit of thinking back and forth. You came up with an idea of we've got like a little rope grasper that we use, and attaching that to something else to try and feed it back. We've now got a telescopic pole that we can put down and extend out just in case we ever have that again.
I learned that from crocodiles, Lawrie. That's how we used to catch crocodiles, yeah.
That's quite interesting. Speaking
as one does.
Yes, yeah, it was as you do. Every time I mention something, you're like, yeah, I've done that before. But speaking of equipment issues and having to work around things, what about this particular fox? Now, don't go too much on a rant.
That was when I was on my dexamethasone, which put me in the most appallingly bad mood. And Lawrie took with him a load of inferior equipment.
Now,
so trying to cutting through that wire was an absolute nightmare. It wouldn't cut it. It was a disaster. I was getting more and more angry. Lawrie said, try not to swear, you're on camera. And I continued swearing fully. But like all these rescues, the important thing was we got the fox out. It was simple. He wasn't that hurt. He had a bit of a rub wound on his side of inside of his thigh. He was great. So we had to cut all the stuff off him. It wasn't very tight. It hadn't gone in with no constriction wounds. And he trotted off quite happily. I'm not sure he didn't raise a finger to us as he left as well, but there we are, because of my temper.
So we have an awful lot of equipment, as you may have seen in the back of the car, an awful lot of cutting equipment. Unfortunately, what that was braided wire in a plastic coating. It was a washing line, effectively. And it is notoriously a pain in the to cut.
Bottom.
So we tried anything from bolt cutters, which did get through it, but you have to open them so wide it's really awkward to get in, and you can't get close enough to the skin with those because they're really awkward to use. Right the way through to aviation snips and tin snips, which wouldn't get through it at all. We tried our trusty Leatherman Raptors on there as well. They wouldn't get through it at all. We tried side cutters, they wouldn't touch it. We tried small bolt cutters, wouldn't cut.
Mine would have done.
Actually,
my side cutters are perfect, but they weren't to have. Laurie's restacked the car. He's put so much in the car now you can't even get to the kitchen of the car now.
All I've done is taken it from a bag and put it in a box. That is it. It's all your stuff. But it's one of the things, we are constantly learning. This whole industry is always constantly learning, and from that we've actually now bought a specific set of cutters that is for wire rope and gets through that very, very quickly, and we've bought one of those, and that is now in the kit. So whenever we do go to a rescue that we have to either improvise, we don't have the equipment for, the first thing we do is when we get back, once Simon has stopped swearing, is go out and make sure that if we get that again, we can sort it next time. So we have bought those cutters, they are in the car, and for the next one hopefully we can do it a lot quicker. So, Other comments. There is an awful lot of questions going up on here. I'm trying to get through as many as possible. Freeman239, have you guys ever rescued a rat? Yes, is the answer to that. We've rescued quite a few of those. Anything from caught by a cat or caught by a dog. There's been a couple that have been dug up by diggers, poisonings, stuff like that. Caught in traps. Yeah, we've done quite a few of those. I didn't realise pigeons were classified as wildlife. Yes. So we've got sort of two main types of pigeon in the UK. The feral pigeon, or I believe it's called the rock dove officially, is the sort of bog standard pigeon that everyone's seen. And we also get wood pigeons, which are a bit bigger and, I'll be honest, a bit more stupid. But both of those are wild animals. We can treat both of those, and we do treat both of those. How long was the longest sparrowhawk rescue, Simon? This is from Abby, and she was there on this one, so she knows the answer.
Was she there on that one? I didn't think
she was.
It was a gym rescue. It was a gym rescue, wasn't it?
It was Jim was rescuing, not filming. Abby was filming.
I know. Yeah, Jim filmed. Jim wanted to do a rescue because he thought he knew better than me. I think we were there for 7 hours. I think the longest one, the shortest one Lawrie and I have done is about 10 seconds, and probably the longest one we've ever done is probably about 3/4 of an hour.
Well, that we've done. No, we've done an hour and a half.
Have we?
Yeah.
It
depends on the space. If we have really big spaces, it can actually take a long time for the bird to land in an area that is reachable by nets, or that you can actually pin them in. And the key thing of that is you don't want to cause a huge amount of stress beforehand, because if you cause stress, they can just drop dead. So it's a really gentle game of encouraging them from spot to spot to spot until you find one that you can work with, and then going all out on the pincer movement. So we do have our longest pole is what we call our poke pole. So it's very occasionally, if a bird's sat up there, you just really lightly go up, you just touch it, it just encourages it to move.
I think they're about 12. I think we've got one at 12 and one at 16 metres on the poke pole.
I think our longest is 18. Our longest is 18 metres.
They're so thin at the top, that's all you can do is poke with them. I think the longest catch net we've got, where we can put a satisfactory, just about have a net on the end of it, I think is about 6 metres, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, that's the longest as far as you can go.
On that sparrowhawk call out that we were just speaking about, do you remember what you did to your thumb with a carbon fibre?
Oh yeah, that wasn't my fault. Somebody whipped the bloody carbon fibre rod I was trying to chop it. It went right in my finger. It was that other idiot, and I got a carbon splinter about that long.
It was huge.
Went down my finger, and it did rather hurt actually.
We had to cut it out.
It did hurt.
Let's get pliers and pull it out.
Yeah. So I just stood there quietly swearing.
Strangely.
No, should have done actually, to be honest. I'll put anything in there.
Dragon Cat has asked, are all wildlife veterinarians trained in bird imping procedures? As far as I'm aware, no.
No, they're not.
So
I mean,
it's
the wildlife.
We do a lot.
Any vet really spends, I understand, and unless it's changed recently, don't spend more than about an hour and a half on wildlife cases at all in all their training. So they really get to learn on the job, which is why we get so many requests for vets who are just either about to qualify or have just qualified to come to us, and they spend a few months with us, and we can give them, quite a good insight into what they're going to deal with wildlife. But we don't want vets to get too into it before going. They need to do some normal veterinary work first before they come to us long term. But if they want to come and learn for a month, we have a waiting list as long as your arm, I'm afraid. At the new centre, we'll be able to take many more all the time, which would be fantastic, because we get vets and vet nurses. The vet nurses in veterinary surgeries are brilliant. They do a lot of wildlife care as well. So vets and vet nurses, it just shows they care. And we get, in fact, Marco came here all the way from Italy because he wanted to work with wildlife. I think he secretly wanted to work with me, but no, he wants to work with wildlife. He doesn't care what the money is, and very few vets don't care that much. And money in any charity is not good, and veterinary money is probably about as good as it gets for charities, but it ain't anything like the real world. But to work with wildlife is a privilege, and if you've got a passion for it and you can learn to sort of live with that within your means, then guys, come on down, the price is right.
And just speaking of the dedication on that side, we are very, very lucky that our vet team in general is made up of a whole load of hugely skilled and dedicated individuals. We're very, very fortunate. And in fact, it was literally today that this happened. So this pigeon arrived with a broken wing, unfortunately, and that's Miriam that you see on the left-hand side. She's doing an orthopedic surgery to pin those bones back into place. So it was broken along the humerus, which is sort of this bone up here. Luckily, what we call mid-shaft, so in the middle of the bone, and we were able to pass a pin through that holds those in alignment, ready for them to heal. And that bird is now healing, but that actually happened earlier today. So the skill of the people that can fix this up is absolutely incredible, and we're hugely grateful.
I've just been told that Lucy Kells is in the chat. She's eating.
Oh, hello, Lucy.
But Lucy's always eating, so nothing changes there. But she's in the chat, so hi, Luce. Come and see us. We're still here. You're probably somewhere.
Remember the sentence Simon just said. Vet nurses are brilliant. That is true.
I've never not said it. I have always praised the vet nurses, and I praise everybody here because they all, without them, it wouldn't happen. Lucy was just happened to be particularly better than most, shall we say? A bit.
No, she's cool for a long time, wasn't she?
5 years.
Come back, Lucy. We miss you.
We do.
And there you go. Lucy's put Sean sends his love too, and you miss Sean because
Yeah,
Sean's still your favourite rescuer.
Sean's still as screwed as I am now. He's too old. He climbed up a tree the other day and he hurt all the skin on the inside of his legs because he's getting so old and wrinkly now that he climbed up a tree and he really hurt himself. So Lucy had to bathe him in a soothing salve. No, again, brilliant rescue. Of all my time here, I suppose I have only ever really admired about 6 or 7 rescuers, and some of those more than others. But it's not a dying art. It's an art which nobody understands. Rescuing is a real art, and you've either, as I say, you've either got it, or you haven't. I'm sure Sean would say the same. Would say the same. Would even say the same. You've either got it or you haven't. You can't learn it to any major degree. You've got to feel it. You've got to feel it all the way. So hi, Sean.
We are coming, unfortunately, to the end tonight. There's an awful lot going on. We've actually got a badger now to see as well, so we will need to head off before too long. If you do have any more questions, please leave them in the chat. We'll try and get through as many as we possibly can, sort of relatively quick fire. But before we get to that, thank you all so much for the huge amount of donations that have come in today. It is incredible. There are absolutely no words on that. I wish I could thank all of you personally on there, because you guys really do. You don't just keep the lights on, you keep all of this possible. You keep dreams alive, and you keep the future for thousands of animals possible. So thank you so much.
Sorry, Lawrie, sorry.
All of those are actually taken as direct quotes from you during your talks.
I know, but you know, it only works once, Lawrie. It only works once. No, thank you, guys. If anybody hasn't watched this or wants to, you know, we're going to put a thing out tomorrow, so everybody thinks you have to watch it live. You can actually go back in and watch it the next day or the next day. So if you've got any friends you'd like to send this to, if you think they might be interested in the work we do, or they might want to give us some sponsorship for the new centre, £10 million would be lovely, £1 million would be fantastic, but every single pound helps. So any help you give us, we'll love you forever, guys. And just remember, I'm going to be here forever, just to prove them all wrong.
So, comment has just come in. Will the new rescue centre help cats and dogs? Now, I'm not sure we touched on this, but
no, we haven't. We're still in debate to a degree. We are thinking of opening a commercial veterinary centre next to the wildlife centre for 2 reasons. One is it gives vets who come and join us experience in both fields, so in paid stuff and unpaid stuff, wildlife, domestic. So that's one thing. B, if it goes well and people like our vets there, you know, they could within 2 or 3 years be contributing to keeping WAF going. So if they make a profit, they'll obviously get paid normal rates like they have to be. But you know, if we could make 100 grand a year from the vet centre as a profit, then that would be ploughed back into the centre. So it helps vets, it helps us, it helps the community. It means if we get a very busy day, we can pull vets from one area to the other. Again, what's my favourite word, Lawrie? Holistic.
You've got a lot of them.
Holistic. It
Most
works.
of them we can't say on YouTube.
I know. It all functions together. It functions together. And yes, are we having a vet centre? We might. It is still under discussion. But until we actually start building the building, which is probably 3 or 4 years away, we've got time to think about it. We don't have to equip a centre that hasn't been built yet. We can decide what we're going to do. I personally think if I'm still here, or if I had a say in it at that point, I think I would put a commercial vet centre on the side. But like any commercial vet centre, it's got to be a damn good vet. I'm very fussed with my dogs. There's only one vet I'll go to with my dogs. He's brilliant. I won't say his name because he'll get overstuffed with work and he won't look at mine. But yeah, the vets have got to be good. You can have any vet centre you like, but if it's got the wrong vets in it, or vets who don't care, or vets who are purely motivated by money, like some of these big corporate vets are, I should probably get into a lot of trouble for saying that, I don't care. This is the one good thing about being old. I don't care anymore. It's fantastic. I say what I think. But yeah, so yes, we will likely have a commercial veterinary centre. Watch this space.
Jade has just asked, have you ever been afraid of an animal that you've had to save?
Yeah.
You're not the biggest fan of snakes.
I'm not big. No, I'm not scared. I'm not particularly. I'm scared of snakes in Australia. That scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, that's because everything in Australia can.
Don't
kill
like
you.
crocodiles. Not a fan of crocodiles. They're probably the only two that I'm really scared of. I can't think
you don't
of
like
anything.
heights. I distinctly remember the
that's
fox
not an
on top
animal,
of that.
is it?
No,
That's not
but
an animal.
The most difficult time I think I've seen you on is that fox on the top of that 21st story.
Yeah, I used to be fine with heights up to my mid-40s. No problem with heights at all. Now I'm terrified of heights. Even if I jump off a wall to a river and it's a 6-foot drop, I tend to get over now. It just proves my age, doesn't it? It's just horrible. Don't like being old, guys. Don't like it.
But I don't think it quite came across in the video just how much it took for you to sort of go out on that exposed 21st story thing. Simon is really not the biggest fan of heights at all, and the bottle it took to swallow that and go out just to do that rescue that we do at the top is more than certain.
Oh, shut up, Lawrie. Get over yourself. It was a rescue. You're
being nice to you.
There. I know, but don't.
Get one a year.
People get the wrong impression if you're too nice to me. You know that. Guys, we're going to go. We're 6 minutes over time. Yeah. We've got stuff to do, people to see, money to make. You can win the lottery this weekend, wherever you are in the world. If you could give us $1 million, that'd be great. If you can give us 100 quid, that'd be great. If you could give us 10 million, I'll take you out to dinner. And probably a lot more. So guys, thanks so much for watching. We're here. We haven't done one for a while. We'll try and do them a bit more regularly if we can. Got any questions? Don't be scared to ask them later on. Just keep going on the chat, and Lawrie and I will try to get through them over the next few days. If you've got anybody who's good at social media skills, we're looking for Abby Mark 2. We're desperately looking for that as well. We're always looking for things. We're always looking for everything.
If you go on our website, there's a section for vacancies. If you are interested in that, it's a digital marketing officer is the name of the role. If you are interested in that, please do apply because that is still open. Right.
Are we going to go?
Do you want to do your sign off? Because then I'm going to ask you to be quiet for a bit because I've just got one thing that I need to say before we go.
Guys, I'd close down now before Lawrie says anything else. It's a total waste of time. So from me, it's a very good night. It's a very big thank you and lots of love.
So it's, as you all know, we're being incredibly positive and going on at the moment, but you guys are aware of what is going on at the moment, what is being touched on, and how important the next stage of the wildlife aid journey is, not just to myself and Simon, but to the future of wildlife aid and the future of the animals that we help. This push is vital. It is literally the next stage of what we can do, and without your support it is just going to be impossible. Unfortunately, with everything going on, time is now not on our side, to be honest, and we need to do everything we possibly can to make sure that we have Simon's dream, Simon's legacy, the future of wildlife aid and the future for all these animals secured for long into the future. And I've said this once, I've said it 1,000,000 times, I will not ever let Simon not cut the first ribbon on that building to see his dream and the future of this charity go ahead. So if you can support us in any way possible, it would mean the absolute world, not just to me, but to everyone here at Wildlife Aid. Please leave a comment, please check out the Simon/Wish campaign, because you are responsible for the future of what we do as a charity and what we can offer in the future. So thank you all so much for your support now and forever, for long into the future. We will see you very, very soon. Thank you.